Once again, the Awaken Men episode. I have no idea. We've been doing a one every week, so who knows what we have. But hey, go listen at youtube.com and search for Awaken Men and subscribe. Let us know what you think and everything. And as
Yes.
always, Daniel joining me here with his awesome monkey coffee cup that I love. Great stuff. Uh,
Wow.
it's a good way to have humor in life anytime like that. I think we take life too seriously and we should just be able to chill out and relax.
Yes.
But
Nothing is serious.
no, we just make it really serious. So, Daniel, thank you for always joining me on all of this. And
Hmm.
my cat might join us today. So, if you see a little tail coming in, that's my cat. Uh, you know what? I woke up really weird today. I woke up and I had this weird dream. But after I wake up, I always ask, okay, what am I feeling and all of that. And I don't know. I just have to say that I had a very strong emotion of just sharing how we're all connected. It's like one thing that we do. It's like we all think that we're so separated. We think we're all so alone in this world. And physically, yes, we are. I mean, if we're in our own house and it's us and it's just us, I mean, that's it. But energetically, everything's so connected. Anything that we do here affects somebody else out there. And I don't know. I just had to share that after my dream. Crazy dream, but hey.
Yeah, what was your dream, if you want to share?
Well, it's going to be weird. So I was in this house with other people that I didn't know. And it was, we all had been in the house for a while and we were getting treated really well, great dinners and great everything. And so what happened in the dream, the group of us realized that we were trapped. And
Hmm.
when we were trapped, we a set of them wanted to go ahead and figure out a way to go leave. It's like right away they were going. It's like, you know what? It's like we gotta get out of here. We're trapped and everything. And I was more of well, we have it good here. It's like I know we're trapped, but let's steady the environment and figure out how to get out of here. And let's not just jump jump the gun and go ahead and let's get all this resolved. And in all of this, they went ahead and went with their plan, and because of them actually having to do the plan, what happened? This is kind of sound really. This is where it gets strange. There were warthogs that were guarding the house where you're at. So when they started to leave, they they actually wanted to. There's my cat. uh, they actually wanted to. Wait, I lost my train of thought. So as they were leaving, the warthogs attacked them and killed them. And it's like I looked at him and I went. And it's like, oh, not like I told you so, but it's like just the compassion. It's like if they had just waited a little bit. But then because of that, I started observing. It was me. I was observing the environment, and then I don't know how long it was. Then another time frame went,
Mm.
and I had another group of us there, and I go, okay, no, we're ready to go, and even the people that were very frightened said they felt very confident in going. It's like I go. The only thing is, we all have to go our separate ways. I go, but because these people uh, the way their schedules work about how the warthogs are guarding us and the way the people are guarding us, we have to make sure we don't go in the same path. So we all go in separate paths. So we go and oh man, it's like a big action movie. It's like things are going and it's like all right, go, and we're telling each other go, and then finally I leave. Ooh, I got goosebumps, and I leave in a hot air balloon of all things. And as I'm leaving, it's like I see the whole property and it's a whole bunch of acres with a whole bunch of trees all around it. And then I wake up. But I was feeling a lot of compassion for even the people that had us trapped there. It's like, wow, it's like there's those poor people there are trapped. They have created their own trap to be encased in all of that and don't even realize that they're trapped also. So out of that, when I woke up, first off, it was horrific when the people died. Don't. I'm not discrediting that, but I started seeing the connections of everything. It's like, wow, it's like because that happened, we were able to do this, and because of this, we were able to escape. And then because we were in the house, those people that were taking care of the warthogs that were also the guards, well, they were also doing their own thing and they were within their own part. And yes, even the warthogs had their part to play because the human was interacting with them. And because even the consequences that we think are bad have actually a benefit to something else or someone else. And that was, I don't know, it was weird. It was kind of a weird feeling because I felt compassion for everybody and I felt sad for the people that died. But it was like a very interesting, I don't know, I can't explain it. So waking up with that type of weird dream and then being in that awareness of everything's connected. I don't know. I don't know if it made any sense, but dreams don't ever make sense anyway.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like you saw like the cosmic web and how everything's interconnecting. Like how everything was necessary to create the world we're in.
Yeah, it was because it hit me really hard. It's like, here we are, just in my own surrounding. It's like sometimes I get sad about this, or I get angry about this person that hurt me, or about my dad, or something. But that because of that totality of things, because we're all connected in one way or another, it creates the essence of who we are. And seeing another layer of that, I mean, makes you wonder. It's like, is there? That's why I always say when people will talk to me, it's like I always say I don't see that there's anything bad because all of that came, and I became the person who I am. Hard to put it all together. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Daniel? You said I saw the web. What do you see? Anything else in there?
Hmm. Well, you were a leader, it feels like, of a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was super important. That's just what popped into my consciousness. Was
Mm-hmm.
sort of leading people out of the house. Like you were the voice of reason and we're speaking up, which is really cool. And then, yeah, just escaping whatever you were trapped inside. Usually dreams are integrating something, I feel like. So you don't even have to know what it is, but
Yeah.
you obviously escaped something within you.
Yeah, and the other part that I learned is that, because sometimes I go, some people kind of get upset because I'm a very patient person. So sometimes I'm very, they assume I don't move fast enough because I'm not moving at their pace, but I'm moving at my pace. And sometimes it's that whole patience things. I know when I feel that they're about to happen, that's when I do them. I don't try to push them because I learned if I push something I want to do, it just never works.
Right.
And I used to feel really bad because I was very patient. So I used to feel like, oh, it's like, well, they're all waiting on me. And that whole thing would go in there. It's like that, oh, well, I'm slowing the whole crowd down. And now I really don't have that.
Yeah. Well, we need to slow down, so that's good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as an airy, fiery person, I tend to go way too fast. And I notice this part of me that like thinks things are urgent. Like I got to do this today, or oh, I want to get ahead of the game. And
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, that doesn't work. That's not in flow.
Yeah.
If it feels in flow, like sometimes going feels in flow, but
Yes.
it's like the slower I go, the more I can actually get done. It's weird. It's like a bizarre twist.
It's a very contradictive thing too, because we're taught, it's like we got to make things happen. And in all honesty, we're always making things happen. We just think that we have that physical aspect of things that we have to do. And really, I mean, if we're thinking that we're already moving through it, that's the whole irony of all of this. Movement doesn't equate to real movement. Did I say that? Yeah, that's exactly what. It's interesting because a lot of people think if you're not moving, you're not doing anything, and it's just the opposite.
Right. Yeah. Was it Vincent Van Gogh that said? There's that story. I think I've said it before, but when he was laying in the garden, people asked, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm working." And then when he was painting, people were like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm resting." It was like the work was actually the sitting still and being with himself and getting aligned. The work isn't doing the thing. That always just comes when you're
Yeah,
supposed
yeah, and it was interesting because I saw so last night. Maybe this is what kind of caused everything. Last night, I like to work with the flower of life, so I started drawing the flower of life last night, and then I started seeing the center as consciousness. And if you look at the flower of life, there's really not a center per se, but there is a center. It's the first circle that starts everything,
to.
and then from the first circle, we have all these intersections, and then from that intersection, I feel is all the people we're interacting. It's like each circle is a conscious being. And as I go into your circle, I affect your circle. And however many people you have within your circle, that's how many people you're interacting or how many layers you're dealing with. And if we ever wonder why it's so challenging sometimes to deal with that, it's like you have so many different realities working at the same time. Of course, it's going to be challenging at times.
Right. Yeah, because everything's interweaving more than we realize. And I think that's why it's important to take your own space, but also to interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
Because there has to be a balance there. Because you have to I got to be in my own space. But then it's like, well, if I don't interact with people, then I never grow because I'm not in that web.
Yeah.
And there's a fine balance between both.
Yeah, it's that, and that's the trick, finding the balance of what, and not everybody's balance point is the same. Just like the meditation, the style of meditation is not the same for everybody. So we have to find the balance of what your balance is, uh, what your balance of that is, and what my balance is of that. And I think that's everything. I mean, the way I work is going to be the way I work. The way you work is going to be the way you work. The way I drive is the way I drive. And I mean, but I always have to find the balance. It's like, okay, I have to find the balance in what I have to get to. If it's driving, it's like I have to find the balance of the speed to get there on time without, being being reckless about things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. So how do you find your balance, would you say, with being with people and not being with people?
Well, what happens for me, it's interesting because what I have to do, and this has always been in layers, I learned something new. So I, I look at myself and it's like, what is my rush? So if I know I drive 50, I'll use the car example. I got to go into town. And if I know it's going to take me so many minutes, then I add on more time because I know my style of driving. And that's how I find at least my balance in driving. That I know that if I stay at this constant speed, I'll get there in time because I overcalculate sometimes for this and for that. But I know I'm not a slow driver. I drive the speed limit, and some people
Right.
get driven crazy by that. So that would be in driving. Like now, when I look at getting things done, I find I find that if I don't give myself enough playtime, the stuff I need to get done doesn't get done. So I've discovered that in me. So if, for example, I have a PlayStation 4, and I used to be in the extent of, oh, I can't play games. I got work to do. And then I would discover that I got so entrenched in the work that I would get lost in the work, and the work wouldn't even get finished. And because of that, I never would get anything done. So then, well, what's funny, I started playing more video games and more work started getting done. And then I discovered it's like, oh, that's what it is for me. It's a lot of trial and error. And it's knowing who you are and actually trusting what you feel, because we're taught, we have the structure. Like I did this. It's like I went to learn about time management, and they go, oh, put everything on your calendar, do it this way, set a time for this, set a time for that. I tried that and I was less productive. So I finally found my times. It's like I go, there are only certain things I want on my calendar, not everything.
Right.
I hope that answered your question.
No, it did. So do you structure your day at all?
I structure it some in the way that the things that have to get done, the way I get them done is I go on this day, I put it on my calendar, and I put it on a time that I think I'll get it. But I don't say, so like today, I have to go to the store. I don't put that at 3:00 in the afternoon, I'm going to go to the store. I just put a note, oh, okay, I think I want to go to the store around like 10:00 or 3:00 or something like that. And if it happens earlier, it happens. Now, for things that I do ongoing on a daily basis, it's more of just a reminder. So that, like, and not even a to-do list, more of I just have a list, and then whatever feels to me when I look at the entire list, I don't say like 1, 2, 3, 4 have to get done. I look at the list and I go, today 3 is going to get done. Today 4 is going to get done. So I have some structure, but not completely structured. And I found that works for me the best.
Right. So having the balance between the masculine structure and the flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the more I've learned, and I guess where I grew up, where it was a little bit restrictive sometimes in the things I could do, I learned that's not my environment. My environment is very flowy. It's like I have to move. I can't. If you tell me a schedule, I'll be there just because I don't want to be late because of other commitments that person has. So I respect their time. But when it's about me, it's like I allow myself to be moving around.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. No, I like to have the balance between the flow and the structure too. And knowing when it's too structured, you can feel it, I think, in your body. There's almost like this, like this has gone too far. I need some time. And it's nice to just have that knowing and trusting the feelings.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. We have to trust ourselves enough. And even like procrastinators, because I used to think I was like a heavy duty procrastinator. And it was not that I was a heavy duty procrastinator. It was that I just didn't like structure.
That was probably loud.
It wasn't too loud, so that worked out. But yeah, the structure is very interesting because it has its benefits and it also has its downfalls. Like I know a friend of mine right now, she structures her day very, very strong. And she's always stressing out. And I told her, it's like, you got to relax, take some time for yourself. But all this has got to get done. I go, well, yeah, but prioritize, it's like, know what you feel. What do you feel needs to get done? Not what they told you needs to get done. What do you feel you can do?
Right. Yeah, I think that's so important. And if you're not aligned, you can't start doing a bunch of stuff. Like you're just going to stress your adrenals out and then get
Yeah.
sick and all these different things. Like it's really kind of simple. Like if you're tired, rest. If you're, if you're awake, go do stuff. Like we make it so complicated, I think, when it's just that simple. And if I
Mhm.
live that way, where my body's telling me to do, my life is so much easier. Like it's so much. I mean, you want ease, but people won't go to bed when they're tired. Like, I want less stress and ease in my life, but I'm gonna like push myself to go out tonight when I'm tired. I'm like, that's not ease. That's the opposite.
Yeah, that's I have another friend of mine, and that's the way he is. He always talks about being very tired, but every day he's doing something. He's going out, he's meeting somebody, he's working, he's having to go take care of things. He's uh, always something, and I get tired just looking at him go through all that.
Right? You're tired because you need to sleep, probably. And then people just drink coffee, and I can do it sometimes too. And then, um, yeah, and they just
What?
don't go to sleep.
Well, that's
So,
the funny part. Just because we're capable of doesn't mean we have to do it. I mean, that's.
no. Well,
I
I
mean,
like what? Yeah. I, I mean, I had this moment. It was Saturday, and I didn't leave the house, and I planned to, and I just was tired, which is perfect. And I was just like laying with the animals, and like part of me was like, I should be working or something. And then I just looked at the animals just laying down doing nothing with me, the cat and the
mhm,
dog. I was like, oh yeah, they can lay down and do nothing. They're so good at it. There's nothing to do right now. Like we're just chilling. I was like, all right, we'll just chill for a while. And
and
it
you know,
was exactly what I needed.
it's funny because I pick on my friends, but I do it too. I mean, the only reason I talk about other things, it's like because there's different ways that it manifests for different people. For me, it's like sometimes I get so caught up in things that I forget stuff. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. It's like, I forgot to do this. It's like, oh, wait a minute. And that was because I wasn't in the flow. I
Right,
dropped the ball because I was trying to force myself to go this way, but really the flow was telling me to go this way. And because I was so busy stretching myself this way, my mind just got too preoccupied and forgot that we had another thing to do.
right. Yeah. No, I was in the Akashic Records last night, and
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down, I asked a question like it was pretty simple, like what do I need? Because the way my life is, like I have like different things that could bring me income, and it works really well. And I was like, how much do I need to make in this thing? And I wrote down the number, and then I second guessed it and changed it, and then literally something took my hand and crossed it out and said flow, like wrote over it. And I was like, oh yeah, my own teaching. Like I'm falling into this. It was just like flow. Like you don't need to have those goals. Like you're basically what they said. You already set so many intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like Abraham Hicks says. Like what are you trying to create more? Like we already got enough to deal with. Like we know how much money you need to make. Like the universe already knows. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to like control it. Like it's gonna support you. But with certain things, like it's funny with certain things we trust the universe and certain things we don't. And with money, a lot of people time and business people don't. They get like
Mm-hmm.
I do it too. I get wrapped up in well, I'm controlling it, and it's like, well, your goal is like 600. What if you made like 548? Like
Mm-hmm.
that could be the number that's in flow. So you can go meet this person, and then they give you like a free meal that pays for this.
Yep.
Like it's you don't know what's happening, but when you get caught up in the details, which is a lot why people get stressed and overwhelmed
Yep.
because they're like, I need to figure out how to do this. I'm like, no, the flow will take you there.
Yeah, and you said it best. It's like you just don't know how it's coming because I've had situations where I barter with people, and some people that I barter with are very down to it's like, oh, you know, it's going to be this much and this exact number and blah, blah, blah. And then we're so busy trying to figure out the right amount of hours, the right amount of this. What I've come to discover in my experience is if we just keep going at it and both talk and pay attention to ourselves, we'll know when it's off balance. But as long as it's still in balance, your body will know. And I always make the disclaimer, and you know, if you feel that it's out of balance, tell me, because we're
Right.
so used to not saying things. It's like where's the balance in all that? It's like why don't you say it? It's like if you're taking care of yourself, so and you matter.
Right.
And we don't do that so often. I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I don't ask for help or I don't speak up for myself and I don't realize until afterwards.
Yeah. No, and that's, I think, a new level of consciousness. It's just like when things are out of balance, speaking about it, not making it personal, just being like, all right, how do we find balance? Are you in a relationship? All right, we're hanging out too much. Like, how do we find balance? And like, or are you not hanging out enough? How do you like bring that into equilibrium? And then by speaking about it as adults, because really, like, the higher level of consciousness is communication and
Mm-hmm.
maturity within talking about stuff. People are wanting to, like, and Matt Kahn talks about, but I agree, like, save the world. And I'm like, you guys can't even have a good relationship with your friends. Like, I would maybe start there. Like, you got to get dating down. Like, all right, like, let's get this down. Let's get our tribe together first. And figure this out before we do all this stuff. Because that's where it's going to. Because I've seen communities and communities, including me in them, fall apart from lack of communication
Mm-hmm.
and gossip. I mean, it tears it apart. Like, it happened to me. People were like calling me and I just go right to the person. It's like people just aren't used to it. Like someone just coming straight at
Mm-hmm.
them. I'm like, just gonna go to the person, talk to them. Let's just end this. You know.
Yeah, and that's the best way to deal with situations. I mean, if there's something that that person is aggravating you about, or and if it's so, you know, if they're doing it to other people, you know, I'm a big believer in it's everybody's responsibility to take care of themselves.
Right.
No, if Joe Smith is doing something to somebody, it's not my job to protect the other person. It's their job. And so I take care of myself. And it sounds kind of selfish, but you know, to me, there's nothing wrong with being selfish. I mean, we've just been taught not to take care of ourselves. We've
Right.
been take care of everybody else. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. How can you take care of somebody else if you haven't been taking care of yourself?
Right. And that's my pattern that I'm breaking with relationships and people. I would watch, like, if I was in a relationship or friendships, like, my life break down. Like, I wouldn't take care of myself financially. I would stop working to go help someone because I have a flexible schedule. But I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that rescuer is in me. I like doing it. There's nothing wrong if I'm full,
Yeah, me too. I
right?
like helping. So,
But being conscious and being like, okay, do I have the energy? Like, I think it was on Sunday, told someone I could move, and I told them pretty early, help them move, and I was like, no, like, that's gonna be really stressful. Like, my plate's already pretty packed, and I
mm-hmm.
was like, all right, I got to take care of myself, and I just canceled that, and I was like, oh, that felt so good. Like, it was like they didn't really need me, like, and it was just, yeah, it was just the one thing I couldn't help with.
Yeah, you know that's the big thing. At least with me, it's like the way I grew up. I we grew up in we got to help everybody out as far as like in our family. You know, we're a very close knit family, and it's very hard as we grow as adults because we want to that helping gene is there, but sometimes it was helping to the point that I was sacrificing a lot of me,
Right.
and it's incredible how I guess the only words that come to me is a heavy burden it is on us to be responsible for somebody else. And I'm not saying don't take care of them if they're sick or anything like that. What I'm saying is even when you're taking care of somebody that's sick, you got to give yourself that break in between, and and ask for help. Ask, maybe a relative can help you out, or maybe a friend can help you out where you can get at least a day break or 15 minutes or something. But don't be afraid to ask if you're suffering.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to give yourself time. And as like empaths and healers, and like we tend not to be selfish enough. Like that's
Yeah.
my joke when I work with people. I'm like, you're never going to become a selfish jerk. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you're never going to be a narcissist and just ram over people. Like, there's no chance. So don't even worry about it. And I see this a lot with people I worked with that are empaths. Like, spiritual teachers will be like, you need to be of service. And I was like, no, you're already always of service. Like, you need to like be selfish and choose yourself. Like, but no, it's like the opposite teaching. But I'm like, you have a different, learn that from the Matt Kahn teachings, but like you have a different structure. Like you need to be more self-centered. And really I'm talking to myself and knowing I need to do that.
No, well, that's all it is. I mean, everything that we talk about is just a reflection of us. I mean,
Right.
that's the other part that people miss is me included. It's like I miss sometimes that there is something. I'm not saying that that's exactly the issue. What I'm saying is that if you're seeing something in the other person, there's something triggering in yourself about that.
Right.
There's something there, not necessarily exactly the same thing, but something relating to that emotion, feeling, or reaction, or whatever it is that's triggering that. And it's
Right.
very hard lesson because a lot of people feel that it's a exact reflection of that. So if they're being mad at you for something, some people feel that them being mad at you, that exact thing that they're mad at you is what you have to deal with. And to me, it's not that, it's the reaction that you had to what they said.
Right. Yeah, because they come at you and you don't get triggered, that it's not in you,
Right.
that it's not a mirror, then you're just like, oh, I'm just helping them heal this. So if someone comes to me and they're, if that wasn't triggering to me, I was just like, you need to be more selfish. But that's because I've healed that part of myself. So now I can go to someone else and help them through that because it's not triggering me. But I can see the unresolved pattern without.
Mhm.
But if their unresolved pattern triggers me, then I haven't healed it, which makes me, I can't be a good coach then because I haven't done my own. And you're going to be triggered always, but like the key to being a good coach or therapist or healer is dealing with your triggers so then you're not triggered in session as much as possible.
Yeah.
So you can hold an unconditional loving space, which is why the key to being any type of healer is doing your own work.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
And I feel that's missing right now a lot. Everybody's so busy. Once they heal one layer of what they're dealing with, they have a tendency of going, it's like, oh, I'm healed. And it's not that they're healed. They healed that layer. And yes, you can go into the healing practice. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is still be conscientious that there's layers to all of this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just one thing that you need to heal. It's a conglomerate of things.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't go, oh man, you went to the gym for a week. Now you can stop because you're fully, I'm working gaining muscle. So like, to
Well,
a
look,
point.
I got good biceps. I'm done.
Right. But you have to keep on going. And that's the same thing with like meditation and that type of healing. Like it just, and not to like overdo it, but also like it's never going to end. And you're going to be called to higher and higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be like a Wayne Dyer type or someone that's doing big things, like those people have healed a lot of their triggers because they can affect more people. Which doesn't mean what you have to do. You could be niche-y and that works too.
Mm-hmm.
But I know for me, I want to be able to do a lot of different things. So like it takes more of that bringing things up. And I know the more I heal, people will show up that want my help for those things. And they won't show up if I haven't done the work. It's weird.
It's that whole web. It's like in the web, it's like the as we move through the web, your circles of people are different because you're radiating a different energy. You're on a different frequency. So as you start radiating a different energy, different people will come to you. And we just have to be patient because that web is pretty huge and the energy has to move through there for quite some time sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what my mantra I needed. There's nothing urgent. Like, what if your business takes, or whatever you're doing, takes 7 years? But it's your dream, so who cares? Like, why does it have to happen now? Like, there's no rush. And by like saying that, you're actually going to get it faster, ironically, but
Mhm.
because it's a paradox. But like, everyone's rushing. Like, they're like, oh, I want to travel the world now. I'm like, what if it happens in 3 years and you build up the thing
Mhm.
to do that? Like, whatever it is you want, like, let it come when it comes. It's not, because it might be a better timing for the thing, where you might
Yeah.
meet the person that brings you to the thing in 2 years. You wanted to go this year, but in 2 years it's lined up better. So then you can go experience that thing in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So it could be your dream is to go on it because you have like 1,000 dreams, so they're all coming true. They're just, you know, coming true in different things. Like, I didn't have a business, but I wanted to travel a lot and live in my car. And my guidance kept on going, well, you can't have both right now. Like, that would be way too much on your plate. So we're just going to
Mhm.
give you one, and then you'll do the next in like 2 years, and then you'll do the next in a year, and then it'll all come together. And then you can kind of just relax because you don't have to do it, which will take care of all that stress and overwhelm that people have.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, there's nothing serious going on and nothing urgent. It's all
We
just, it's all just a game we're playing.
we just make it urgent.
Right. Which doesn't, yeah, I do it, but that mantra is like, why is, I'm on the path of consistency and patience. So it's like,
Mm.
I could bust my butt and make a bunch of money and have savings, but what if I do it slow? Like, what if I just work consistently? And it's like, oh, that's actually easier on
Yeah.
my adrenals and everything. It's like, everyone wants the fast fix. And, for me, sitting in nature and living up in the mountains, it's like, oh, it's not like, it doesn't have to be so fast. Like, you can just be slow.
Once again, the tree. I mean, look how long
Right.
the tree takes to get that big.
Yeah. And the best things grow organically anyway. If
Yeah.
something, look at a band or something, like if I looked at music, because I love music, but the bands that get big really fast tend to fizzle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine if that's what you want, but like the organic growing, once they play bigger, little bigger venues and little bigger venues, and then
Mm-hmm.
they tend to last longer because they're not rushing their fame. They're not like pushing it out in this unauthentic, fake way.
Yeah.
They're letting it grow from like the heart, which is a different energy, but it's slower. Our mind wants to go fast. It's fire, but the heart wants to go slow, like water. It's like, I'll get there, but yeah,
Well, growing in itself is a slow process, and by that I mean like personal growth. And the moment we try to rush it, it just doesn't work. For the simple fact, it took so many years to get to a certain point. Now we have to move through it and recognize some of those, and some of those layers will be deep in the growth process.
right. Yeah. And it'll be like a flower. Like, you'll be growing and growing, and you'll be like, what's happening? And all one day it'll just bloom. And you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I did all that.
Like there's a flower that blooms like only every few years. I forgot what it is. They had it down here in the museum. It it blooms for one day and then it dies then for another 7 years or something like that until it blooms next. Talk about patience there.
Right.
Uh,
Well, the key is to go do a bunch of other stuff and
mm,
then put it on your calendar, and then it'll just bloom, and then you'll enjoy it.
yeah, you don't have to be waiting because if you're waiting for it to bloom, then you'll be waiting. It'll seem like a long time.
Right. If you go create something else, then, you know, it'll be
Well,
fun.
well, and talking about time, I think we're close to our time now.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, once again, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. Thank you.
if Is there any thought you want to give out to our audience today?
Um, yeah, slow down. Like, um, just through the holiday weekend, what comes up is like, people want to do a bunch of stuff. They're like, oh, I got this time off. I need to do a bunch of stuff. And like, well, maybe, but what if you like honored your body and like listened to it and allowed it to guide you? One of my statements is like, my body's smarter than me. So if I'm tired, I'm supposed to rest. And it's just so simple. And it makes your life easier.
Very much.
Yeah, it's just people struggle because they fight it. And it doesn't mean it's going to be consistent either. Like sometimes you're going to be running and sometimes you're going to rest. But like being better at resting is going to make you more successful, more than being good at working.
Very good. And I'll just take a sentence from yours. We're better resting.
Yeah.
We're always better resting. So thank you, Daniel, once again. Thank you again, audience, for always joining us here. Feel free to comment, subscribe, or just send us a message. Look on Facebook. And if you want to join our group, just leave a comment on our message on our on our Facebook or YouTube channel, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.